So I came across a very interesting video about teachers and how much they get paid and whatnot. And I got a couple takes on it. Well, more than a couple. I got a few takes on the whole teacher thing and them wanting to get paid more and whatnot. I don't think people are actually providing full context on these teachers and how much they make and this, that, and the other. So this guy on CNN, I'm not about to try and pronounce his name. This guy on CNN is going to talk about it for a little bit. Let's see what he has to say.
I take. Teachers are striking in states across America, and since last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, I intended to write on the subject, but a more newsy topic intervened. And that's an apt metaphor for what is happening to teachers in America today. We live in a media environment in which the urgent often crowds out the important. But this week, I'm going to stick to my plans and talk about teachers. In East of Eden, a sprawling magisterial novel about the great American West, John Steinbeck writes, "In the country, the teacher was not only an intellectual paragon and a social leader, but also the matrimonial catch of the countryside. A family could indeed walk proudly if a son married the school teacher."
That was in 1952. We're in 2018.
The picture Steinbeck paints, set in the early 20th century, is almost unrecognizable in today's America, where school teachers are so poorly paid that they are 5 times as likely as the average full-time worker to have a second job, according to Vox. We've all heard about stagnant middle-class wages, but the average pay for a teacher in America, adjusted for inflation, has actually declined over the last 15 years, while their healthcare costs have risen substantially. The Economist...
All right, so that's a good point. Inflation is obviously it's always going to go up. It's inflation. You know, everything, the cost of everything is going to go up, and wages should also go up, even though they don't go up as quickly as inflation in most cases. So here's the thing about the teachers and their wages and whatnot. You got to understand, man. Most public school teachers, they only work 9 months out of the year, man. This is not accounting all this. So 9 months out of the year, they get whole summers off. They get all these holidays. If there's a holiday for the kids, they're not in school teaching anybody. This is what nobody's talking about. So think about that. I want you to think about it. Let's take the lowest number here. 58,000 for a teacher. If a teacher, no, you know what? We're not even going to take that number. Let's take an even lower number. I know when teachers usually make around, I want to say around 40,000 a year, maybe. I want to say around 40,000 a year, give or take. If you're making 40,000 a year in 9 months, if you stretch that out for a whole 12 months, what's that? My math ain't too good today. That's 3/4. That's what? 15. So. Whatever that is, you in 9 months you making 40 a year. Okay. So, but nobody's talking about that. Why doesn't anybody bring that part up? And also, when you're going to school to be a teacher, you kind of understand that you're not going to come out making 70, 80,000 a year. It's just not going to happen. If you're going in it for the money, pick something else, because that's not how much you're going to make, especially not out the gate. If you're going in it because you like it, then cool, do that. But if you can't sustain your life or you want to make more money, you're going to have to find a side hustle. It is what it is. There's plenty of other professions out there that, you know, a lot of people take other side hustles. Like, it just is what it is, man. I mean, you know the territory you walking in. Why are you complaining about it now after the case? And you knew it beforehand. Well, let's not pretend like we don't know how much we're going to make when we go to school to go and do some kind of whatever profession you want. You probably already know how much you're expecting to make when you graduate. So let's stop playing that game.
The Economist reports that teachers earn 60% of what a professional with comparable education does. With low wages and stretched resources, American educators burn out and quit the profession at twice the rate of some of the highest achieving countries, points out Linda Darling-Hammond of the Learning Policy Institute.
All countries are not the same.
Since 35% fewer Americans have studied to become teachers in recent years, she notes there are massive teacher shortages, forcing schools nationwide to hire more than 100,000 people who lack the proper qualifications.
Not necessarily. I mean, that's what they're doing because they're being cheap. Whose fault is that? I mean, if America is going to allow the school districts to do that, who you going to blame? You want higher wages, they shouldn't be allowed to go out in other countries and make it easier for these cheap school districts to get away with providing less than competent teachers to teach these kids. First of all, somebody who was born and raised in Singapore, for example, you want them to come and teach kids in the United States? That's a problem off top just from a culture clash standpoint. That ain't gonna work.
In fact, the New York Times reports it is so hard for public schools to find qualified Americans that many districts are starting to recruit teachers from low-wage countries like the Philippines. It's not all about money. Leading a classroom was never a pathway to riches, but teachers once did command the respect and status that Steinbeck's quote reflects. Andreas Schleicher, who heads the OECD's education division and has spent years doing careful international comparisons on education, has often observed that the countries that do best at public education, Singapore, Finland, South Korea, can recruit top college graduates into the teaching ranks because they pay reasonably well, they invest in the professional development of teachers, and their societies show deep respect for the profession.
Those are all fair points. Another fair point to add full context is those are different countries. In America, we have different priorities. This is a capitalistic society. People gonna chase what pay. Most people are gonna chase whatever the money is. And then there's so many, with the boom of the internet, there's so many different ways to make money. You don't really have to. Nobody really cares about these, certain jobs like being a teacher and respect this and all that. Okay, yeah. Every profession deserves some kind of respect. If you're being a productive citizen, you deserve some kind of respect. Let's not play like a teacher is a priest.
In America, when we encounter a member of the armed services, many of us make it a point to thank them for their service. When was the last time you did that for a public school teacher?
When was the last time you thanked the mailman for bringing you your mail? When was the last time you thanked the person who came and cut your grass? When was the last time you thanked your mechanic? So we should just go around thanking everybody for doing what they chose to do with their life, right? That's what we're gonna do? Really? Come on, man. I mean, it's courteous to thank these people. If somebody does a service for you, it's courteous to thank them. If you enjoyed their service, yeah, sure, thank them. But if you're gonna tell me on one hand these teachers aren't doing a good enough job, you want me to thank them? Really? Okay.
Yes, education is a very complicated subject. Simply spending more money does not guarantee results, although there are studies that indicate a significant correlation between teacher pay and student achievement. The education bureaucracy is rigid and often corrupt, but all this masks the central problem. Over the last 30 years, as part of the assault on government, bureaucrats, and the public sector in general, being a teacher in America has become a thankless job. And yet,
being a teacher in America has become a thankless job. So, what's a thankful job? You care to comment on that? No? Alright. Stupid comment.
Yet, teaching is the one profession that makes all other professions possible.
No, that's true. Teaching is the one profession that makes all other professions possible. But again, this is a capitalistic society, man. Supply and demand. The market would dictate how much you're supposed to get paid. So we're supposed to abandon our one of the core values of the country. It's a capitalistic society, man. I mean, if you want teachers to be more important, I mean, I'm not saying teachers are not important. I'm not saying I don't care about teachers. But the points that he's making are like, it's a bunch of emotional crap. And that's a CNN thing, man. They like to touch your emotional strings instead of what's actually making sense. Should teachers get paid more? Probably so. What does the market dictate? What does the market want? If the market is not calling to pay teachers more, they're not going to get paid more. That's Economy 101. That's CNN for you, though. Emotions 101. I quit.